Happy Monday. Oh, we're out here on a beautiful, crisp, lightly breezy Oneida Lake, New York. Chasing the ever elusive walleye and smallmouth, maybe a perch or two. Well, let me rephrase that. I'll chase anything at any time. I am not a species snob when it comes to fishing, and I will gladly catch them all. Now, that being said, this morning I've caught a big fat zero. I want to thank, though, let's start from the top. What a weekend. Okay? What a weekend for the channel. What a weekend for so I put up here from East Tennessee. What are you targeting? What's up, Arrigo? I am out looking for smallmouth, walleyes. Really just those two. We got some ice cold water, and we're not long for open water season if it stays like this. You start getting this west northwest wind, and it gets chilly. That air temp this morning's 20, in the mid 20s. The breeze is very light. It's probably right around 5 miles an hour, give or take. It's a beautiful drift. It was pretty. I didn't fish yesterday. My son Danny and I went deer hunting for the last day of gun season, and that'll do it for me for this year. I'm not going to bow hunt this year. So our season came to an end yesterday. We didn't kill anything. We only hunted 3 days. But even yesterday, both of us saw deer. We saw 5 does yesterday. And I had doe tags for where I was. I saw my 3 on a dead run. And, I could have flung lead at them, but that's not really how I do it. So I let them run by, and they never came back. And Danny had 2 that weren't quite running so fast, but he couldn't get a shot at 75, 80 yards out. But we were only in the woods 3 days this year, and all 3 days we saw deer, and that's pretty good. Yes, I would like to have had some back straps and some venison jerky, but it is what it is. Not a big deal. And like I've said all along, the fishing's been so good this fall that, excluding today, that even yesterday morning, and that wind was howling, although where we were wasn't too bad. That wind was howling out of the east, and it would have been gnarly out here. This water is completely back to wet cement. I mean, it is just riled right up, and it's cold. It dropped the full degree. It's 34.5 right now. It was 34 even in the river. I'm in 19 foot of water on the west end. I'm assuming the east end of this lake is still a couple degrees warmer, would be my guess, just because it's so much deeper down at that end. 2.5 times the depth where I'm at right now, or a little bit more. But let's get back to the issue at hand. And here's the issue. You guys are awesome. You guys are freaking awesome. Man, I felt like a rock star Saturday and Sunday. I got the blades from Mike last week. Thursday, I think I went over and saw him. And I got the kits put together. Got all my custom ones made the way I do them, and Everything is icing this morning. Everything is icing. Yesterday was much warmer than, air temperature than today. But everything is icing today. You get about 2 casts. And then you got to snap all the ice out of the guides, and so it'll fly again. And 2, with braided line in these extreme cold temperatures, it's not ideal. But okay, so I got the blades from Mike. I got them all put together. I put a couple pictures up, and I put them on my Shopify store. And the first 12, I made 12 kits. So there was 12 kits of 6 blades and 2 stickers. And they sold out in just under an hour, 56 minutes. And I had a pile of people messaging me, hey, it's sold out. Are you going to get more? And so I said, yes, I'll get more. And I went over and I saw Mike yesterday. My son and I stopped on the way home from deer hunting, and I got another 6 dozen, enough to make 12 kits. I put them up yesterday right at 1 o'clock on kickoff, and by 5 minutes to 2, they were sold out again. Yeah! I love it. I love it. I love it on a lot of levels. You guys have no idea how good you made me feel this weekend. You have no idea. One thing you guys will never hear me say is, oh, it's a grind. Oh, I'm grinding it out. That's so negative. I don't say that. And I certainly don't say that about something I love. I got to go fishing again today. I get to go fishing again today. I get to go fishing every day. One way or another. And it's funny, my only stress is I know coming at some point winter's going to set in. And I'm going to have to scramble because I'm going to do my damnedest not to let any days slide by, one way or another. And I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that's going to mean some winter steelhead fishing up on the Salmon River, up in Oswego. Maybe some other places. I know I got a friend of mine that's invited me to come out and fish the Jenny, which I haven't done in years. That's the Genesee River, for those of you that don't know. He's invited me to come out and fish there. I've got another friend of mine that's invited me to come out and fish the Lower Niagara, which I have done once before in my life and had a lot of success. I was with a guide and a couple buddies of mine. That was when I was filming. That's when I was doing a TV show in the old days on Time Warner 13. And we had a great steelhead trip out there, but I've always wanted to go out to the bar and jig, vertical jig those big lake trout out there. And of course, ice fishing. I do love ice fishing. I joke, a lot with guys and stuff, but I do love to ice fish, especially perch fishing through the ice, which I love because it's typically way more fast action, and then I like to eat perch in the wintertime. Okay. So my only stress is that I got to figure out in my schedule how I'm going to fit in fishing every morning when I don't have to just walk down to the end of my dock and get in my boat. And that's, I look forward to that challenge, but that's the only thing that I really think about. With too much forward, oh, I love you guys. Oh, Sacagawea. Sacagawea. Ah, I haven't had a bite all morning. Not even a touch. I get on here and start talking to you guys about good, happy, positive things, and I get rewarded. I get rewarded with a good tug. A good tug. I went back to throwing this bait right now, dragging it on the bottom, back onto a rod that is set up with braid and a leader on it. And you guys all saw the show Saturday with Captain Mike Casano, and Mike's an excellent fisherman. Excellent fisherman. His born and raised here. He's a Liverpool kid, and he's an excellent swim bait fisherman. And I was absorbing, and we were talking a lot while we were. I consider myself a pretty good swim bait fisherman too, which just goes to say that there's never I've learned all I need to know. My point in saying that is, with that fish right there, I felt it immediately because of the braid and the rod. And I'm going to say that I probably came tight on him quicker than I should have. And that is what caused me to miss that fish. Because again, whether it's a bass or a walleye, typically with this swim bait, you have fooled them completely. So whether it's free swimming in the water column, or whether it is dragging on bottom, that fish has come up behind it, and walleye or bass, they've taken the whole thing all at once. Just like that. Like a fat kid in a hot dog eating contest. Well, before, when I'm running either straight mono or even straight fluorocarbon, there is a delay in that feel coming up that line. Part of the reason we fish braid is to feel everything and feel it instantly. And so, by being able to feel it instantly, I think maybe I was had a little premature hook settage there. Premature hookulation. I should have let him have it just a touch more. I felt him. It started to go over immediately. I should have just a little bit, another turn or two and slow rolled into it, I think. I would have been better off. But I got bit. Because there was a time here a few minutes ago where I was thinking, man, I'm gonna pull a big fat goose egg out here today, which is all right. I just didn't expect it. The only downside is this water is just, before I said wet cement last week, boy, it's what it was. It's what it is. I've got my double bag in, and my second bag on this setup is bright yellow, and I can't even see it in the water, and it's only down 1.5 feet, and it's this big. So I put those kits up. I keep going around in circles. I'm just in a great mood this morning. It's Monday morning. It was just a great weekend for the Awakening Angler channel, and I want to thank everybody out there that placed an order and made me feel great. I have more coming. Let me say that again. There will be more kits. I spoke with Mike last night. One thing you guys have to realize, though, is there may end up being some different colors in that kit. Homie, Chester, and gold on gold, the signature blade. Those three, I believe he has plenty of. Certainly the gold in the Chester. And I'm pretty sure homie too. But some of those other ones, so Mike's lures are done by custom painters individually. And not every painter paints every pattern. And I don't know how many he gets of each one necessarily. But I know that it's not endless. It's not an endless supply, and there is going to have to be some color swapping in that 6-pack. I don't know if that's going to be right away, but at some point that'll be the case. So I plan on seeing Mike again today, sometime this afternoon, and I'm gonna get as many more as I can and make as many kits as I can. I'll let everybody know, and then I'll put them on Shopify and they'll be up for sale. I'll tell you, I felt like a rock star. You know, like as a kid, I remember waiting in line for tickets down at the War Memorial for bands. In high school, I waited 3 days for REM because they were one of my favorites in high school. I remember waiting in line for Pink Floyd tickets to the Dome. Same with U2 in the Dome. So, you know, then you'd hear, oh, tickets sold out for that concert in an hour. Yeah, well, my lure pack sold out in an hour, man, and I felt great. Oh, I was just higher than a kite, flying, baby. It was so awesome, and it thank you guys. Thank you. I love you guys, man. I love you guys. This is the best group. This is the best group on the internet. You know, let's take a minute and let's go through and see who's here this morning. George Parson. I can't believe the eyes in reel aren't freezing up. Oh, they are, George. Believe me. Just Paul, good morning to you too, sir. When and if you put more packs together, I'm interested. Thank you, sir. Lip balm on the rod guides. You know, Mark, so Mike, when Captain Mike was out here with me Saturday, we talked about all the things. As a winter steelhead fisherman all my life, we've talked about all the things that we've put on rod tips and eyes to keep them from freezing. WD and I've put Preparation H on there. I've put Vaseline. I've never put lip balm. It's worth a shot. My wife will be super pleased with me that I'm taking one of her special honey bee wax lip balms and smearing it all over the eyes of my rod. She'll love that. Anything is possible. Good morning to you, sir. Merlin. Won't be long before ice, only 2 degrees away. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Chris, morning from Rochester. Good morning, sir. Keith Horns, I'm ready for steelhead, buddy. Yeah, I know. I am too. No, I am and I'm not. It's hard to leave this. It's hard to leave this, and it's, you know, it's easier when you don't have a choice. No question. You know, there's a lot of things that go into this fishing out here for me every day. Part of it is just that I can stand up to Mother Nature. I don't know, that's an internal struggle of mine. Not really a struggle, but that's just something internal, you know. I like proving to myself every day that I can be prepared and safe and enjoy myself and be productive on days where maybe most wouldn't, you know, and there's a certain amount of satisfaction to that every day when I come out and do what I love to do on my terms and not being dictated by Mother Nature. You know, I'm going to come out and be one with nature on a daily basis as opposed to opposed to it. Good morning. Don't think you would be getting out. Didn't think you would be getting out. Be safe. Yeah, Don, it's really, the weather's beautiful this morning. I've got 2 fingers on my right hand that I'm not sure if I still have them or not. They were just blistering cold this morning. You know, but the beauty of drift fishing, and I say it all the time, is that my back is to the wind. And so when you put your hood up, everything goes around you. And as long as you're prepared, you know, I've got my ice fishing bibs on. You know, my system's pretty simple, actually, and it's taken me a lot of years to perfect it and get the right materials. I've taken all cotton out of my out of my clothing, for one thing. That's all gone. After all these years, I finally removed all cotton. I wear silk polypropylene long johns, top and bottom, next to my skin. I go over that with a thin wool long sleeve LL Bean shirt. I wear just regular, I'm not wearing insulated pants, just regular Duluth pants. I put my Walls Zero Blizzard, and in these old bibs of mine I have had since I worked at Gander Mountain. It's one of the best things I ever bought from Gander Mountain. Probably because it wasn't Gander Mountain brand. I had these things for going on 20 years now, and they're so warm. They're so warm. Okay. Okay. All right. I didn't get skunked. Well, I shouldn't say that yet. I shouldn't say that yet. I didn't get skunked. I didn't get skunked. I didn't get skunked today. I didn't get skunked today. What's up, everybody? I don't know if he's a keeper. Boy, I think he's going to be super close. I don't want to keep him out too long in this real frigid temperature. Oh, he is just a keeper. He is 15 inches long. Got a little stuff on his nose. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. I feel like I'm playing with my dog. Look at those teeth. Love those teeth. I didn't get skunked today. Oh. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Squirrel. Let's keep looking. Yeah, as far as Don, yes, it's beautiful out here today. There's no wave issues. There's no big wind. It's as nice a day as could be. It's just cold. You know, could be any day of the year right at the moment. Fishing wise, it's just cold. I say just, but it's cold. Missed the blades. I'll keep looking. Good for you there, selling so fast. Merlin, I tell you guys, I will let everybody know, and I'll keep doing them as long as Mike has them and people want to still buy them. I will keep doing them, I promise. I promise. It's my pleasure. Stephen Eddy, have you ever thought of getting a treble stinger hook on your swim bait? That's a great question. And yes, I have, and yes, I've seen them. I've seen some swim baits rigged with the line through in just a treble. I have seen swim baits rigged, on a regular jig head that have had a stinger treble put on them that either runs top or bottom in the tail. I'll be honest with you though, I don't miss. So okay. In the old days, when it was a bucktail and a worm, I almost always put a stinger on, especially when that crawler would be hanging long off the back of it, and I would gob another piece in that stinger treble just out on the edge of the hair of the jig. I'll be honest with you. In my humble opinion, I don't miss a ton of fish on these swim baits to where I would need to do that. And my only worry about that is if I had one rigged on a jig head and then put a stinger on it, that stinger wouldn't be very long, and I'd be worried that my tail action would suffer on that with another hook in the tail somewhere. So I don't know. Great question. I've thought about it. I've seen it. I know some people do it. I don't typically miss that many fish on a swim bait to be frustrated or looking for another way of doing it. So Chris, I bought some blade baits online, but they are light and cheap. They foul all the damn time. Going to pick up some of the I1 blades. You know what, Chris S., I'm not here to disparage anybody else. And if you looked in my blade box, I have a lot of other brands in there too. Now, nowadays, they're all piled in one slot in the box, and I don't really use them very much. I do use the Rot Jaws made by the guys down to Lakeside Outfitters. There's two colors that they make that I really like. It's a little bit heavier, and it's not quite as fast to activate when you lift, but it is also a good blade. I've caught plenty of fish over the years on heading blades. In the old days, I used to fish that Vibey. There's a lot of people that make blades, you know, the Thin Fishers and the Johnsons and that Cabela's Menai and the Demikis. Day in and day out, for me, ever since I started, used to fish that XPS blade a lot from Bass Pro. Years ago, one of their original versions, it was deadly. Captain Tony Buffa turned me onto that. But in the last 3 seasons, I can tell you, out here, yes, I fish those blade baits. I fish those I1s more than anything else, which stands the reason that I catch more fish on them than anything else. But back 3 years ago, you know, long before I had any kind of relationship with Mike, the owner, or even though I was filming in those days and still doing YouTube, it wasn't like it is today with as popular as it's gotten. But that gold on gold signature blade of mine is what started it all. And I found very quickly when I started fishing his baits is that I noticed those things before someone told me. You know, it didn't foul. It always ran beautifully, and you can. So for somebody like me with short attention span, I love a blade bait so much because it gives me feedback every single time I lift that rod tip. And if the feedback's right, then I know I feel good, and when it goes back down, I expect it to get bit. And I lift it back up again, and it goes brrr every time, and then I know it's working. And if it's out there working for me, I believe that fish will eat it, period. So that's a confidence thing, and confidence builds confidence, and winning begets winning. And if you keep fishing something that, and now I've shown myself too that, you know, I don't think there's a color that Mike has made that won't catch fish. I just think they all will, and everything has its time. Those guys, and I'm going to the post office this morning, those guys that have already ordered, I'm going to be shipping today, this morning, you're going to find a little note in there from me with just a little snippet about each of those baits and each of those colors, and when I like them, when I've had success with them. And I don't want you to limit yourself to just what I say. I'm only passing on my little bit of insight into each of those colors and when I use them and what happens and all that fun stuff. So, Cliff, good morning, sir. I'm cold just watching you, Bob. Well, at your age, you know, what can you expect? I love Rebel Seat. He's my buddy. Oh, Randy. Good morning. Wish I could be out there with my kayak. God bless you. You could be today. It's beautiful. It's just cold. But this thing called work is in my way. I know. And I got to get going to mine too. I am interested in the 6-pack as well. How do I contact you besides the interwebs? You can always get me in a private message, either in Facebook or Instagram. Boy, this ice is a chore. It really is. It's a chore. But if that's the worst thing you encounter in your day is a little bit of ice in your tip, then I guess we're okay, right? I'm going to make a few more casts here. I'm going to switch back over to my blade. I didn't get a touch this morning on it, but I've had 2 on that big chartreuse swim bait. So I think I'm going to I think I'm gonna throw that big Fire Tiger I1 blade bait. See if we can't get bit on that. This is not in the rotation in the pack yet, but it's going to be, because this is a, I don't know, I just think everybody should have Fire Tiger something in their arsenal at all times. And growing up, I used to think that Fire Tiger was only for dirty water, and it certainly works extremely well in dirty water, but that is not the only time you fish it. Now, I happen to be fishing it this morning because the water's dirty, but one thing you got to be careful of when you're snapping ice out of the tips, out of your eyes, is that you don't go like that and snap a tip, especially when it's bitter freezing cold out here. Let's keep going through the... Harder to find guests on the boat in this weather, eh? Yeah. You got to be special to want to come out here and go fishing with me right now. And I know my schedule will be good and full come spring. I know that. But I'll tell you, the guys that have been fishing with me in this last month are okay in my book, boy. You got to want it, you got to love it. And I do both. I want it and I love it, and there's no place I'd rather be on a daily basis. Sure, I'd like it to be a little warmer. You know, I'd like to be able to be on this water year round in my boat, as opposed to have to go to the ice. You know, and in the coming years, maybe my lovely bride and I will be somewhere farther south in the wintertime. I know Lake Cumberland's always been on my bucket list to go down there and catch those big giant smallmouth. Cumberland is in Tennessee, Kentucky, I think. One of those two. But it never quite gets cold enough for winter down there, and so they fish year round. And even throughout the winter, it's in the 40s, and that's that, you know. So we'll for everybody that's here, and we got quite a pile of guys here for a Monday morning. I cannot appreciate you guys anymore. I really can. And everything, just so you guys know, everything I do is with you in mind. You know, everything I get, every place I go, every camera angle, every new idea, every fun thing that I think of that I want to do next year, and include people and do cool shit, and man, there's a couple trips I would love to organize for a group of guys, you know, to go and do. I would love in March and April of next year to go out to the Midwest, out there from Ohio all the way to Wisconsin. Most of those bodies of water and whatnot are open. Those guys fish the spawning run for walleyes. You know, I've heard some of those legendary spawning runs that I would love to go and try. The Detroit River and Green Bay and you know, and then too, later on in the season, I would love to go back out there and take a trip with a bunch of guys or groups or couples and go to some place like a Millie Locks or a Loch Sewell or some of those world famous monstrosity walleye lakes out in Wisconsin and Minnesota. I just think that would be a riot. So everything I do on this channel is for you guys, you know, and if you are out there listening to me and you love every day and you think that this is great, I ask you to share it with everybody on your social media, because you know, there's 1,000 guys a day that watch the show. And if 1,000 of those guys that watch the show went and shared it on their social media, it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. If everybody, that's how things go viral. We watch COVID spread around the world like it was a viral. Well, it was a virus. And that's how viruses spread. Boom, like this. So if we all did that, then we could grow this thing quickly in the wintertime. You know, we're growing every day. But if everybody out there that's watching this who loves what we do here every day shared it on their timeline and just shared the thumbnail that you're going to see pop up later. If everybody shared that and said, hey, check this out, man, you're going to love it, that would be awesome. That's the gift that keeps on giving right there, Clark, all year round. Right you are, Edward. Right you are. All right, it's getting late and I got to go. I'm going to do one more quick check of comments here. Might be stupid question, but if the large eyes don't freeze, why not use all big eyes? Well, that's the rod manufacturers, and there's very few rod manufacturers, if any, that I know of, that actually make a rod for cold weather. And the reason why you wouldn't put the large eyes all the way up is it would interfere. The theory in rod building nowadays, as opposed to back in the 70s or 80s, is that those smaller eyes keep that line as it's going out in the cast straighter. It's less wobble, and the less wobble and the straighter and the less it comes in contact with those eyes, the greater the casting distance. The bigger the eye, the more the line would wobble as it's going out on the cast. It would slow it down. The friction would slow it down. For this time of year, it would be great because they would still ice up, but it wouldn't be as bad and they would be easier to snap out. But that's not how people build rods nowadays, and I don't know that you're ever going to see, somebody come out and a rod company come out and go, well, here's a rod just made for winter fishing for all you guys, because I don't think there's a ton of people that want to winter fish to begin with. So I don't know if that would be prudent for them. Let's finish up, but that's a great question, Bob. That's a great question. Keep your frozen tip up. Have a productive day. Thanks, George. You too. You need to join me for stripers in September and early October. I know. And this is, I dropped the ball this year. I'm not gonna lie. That striper run on the East Coast this year, from everybody that I know that's fished it, and friends of mine and clients of mine that live down in that area from Maine to New Jersey, said that this was just an epic fall run. And 3 or 4 different times I was ready to go, even if it was just for the day, and I didn't do it. I was here, I had other things going on. Then the fishing here got really good, and I hate leaving this when it gets good. And so I didn't do it, but I really wanted to. And I'll say again, come spring, with a different boat, I'd like to be down there and catch that spring fishing on their migration back north. And I think that's great video too, and especially for a lot of guys that have never seen or done that. We're 4 hours from the ocean, 4 to 6 hours depending on which direction you head. And that saltwater fishing, stripers and blues and fluke, just down along the New Jersey coast is really world class, and you hit it right and it's outstanding. That would certainly be a trip I would love to put together and take a group on, because it's not far, and I mean, you can go down and back. When Courtney and I were dating, there were days where I'd run down and back in the same day and have dinner and spend a couple hours with her and then come home. It's not a bad drive at all. And when the fishing's that good, it's worth it. Bay of Quinte, yes sir. Yes sir. Bay of Quinte next year, yes. Yep. New boat, Bay of Quinte. That's been on my bucket list since I was a kid. So yes. I've shared with 3 friends that watch you now, Stephen. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we're going to make that the last comment of the day. That's called Out on a High Note. So I got one, I lost one. I'm going to work on a cold Monday morning, and I hope everybody out there has a great day. I love you guys. You've given me so much, and I do everything I can to give it back to you every day. So on that note, make this a great week. This is our last full week before the holiday season really kicks into gear. I hope everybody makes it great. Don't get down. Don't get stressed about this time of year. If you don't enjoy it, what's the sense? So from me to you, let's reverse that. From me to you, have a great day, have a great week, and keep your tip up. Thank you for joining me today. Well, we're still here because I can't turn the thing off with my stupid gloves that are frozen solid. Let me pull my ice cold fingers out. See you guys.